first observation. Go ahead, Mayor Klein.
Absolutely, and so this is what we're hearing from the state standpoint. We need to build faster. We need, and from cities, they're let's say blaming us for not building housing fast enough. We can help that with permitting. We can streamline that to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, the cost of building housing is the biggest portion. There was a bill last year that was going to create workforce housing from a state standpoint on state property and give them $3 billion. Well, at the end of the day, it's the cost of building housing. And if the state unleashed a large amount of money, then housing will get built. Because as you said, we zone for housing. And I've heard from a state senator that said, "Oh, your city is focused on only building market rate housing." And it's like, no, we zone for housing, and market rate developers can get it to pencil out faster than affordable housing developers. From a city standpoint, we have 90 units that will be opening up next month. That was city-owned property. We ended up buying up 6 different single-family homes, and now we're building 90 units, a third of them for intellectually disabled residents, and trying to create that. So making that pencil out as quickly as possible is the best we can do. We take housing mitigation funds for all the office that's being built and then redirect it to affordable housing. But there's a limit with what we can do. And as I hear from our state senators, I have this discussion constantly. Yes, there's things that can be done for ADUs and such, but if you're talking about large developments, there's only so much we can do. We're meeting our housing elements. We're trying to zone for as much housing as possible. 20,000 units in Moffett Park. That being said, we approved it. We have one application, but if there was an influx of money, that could easily be built out quickly.
Boy, that's fair. Yes.
So I tend to agree with Mayor Klein. It's the cost. The developers have to have a profit margin. We are a free enterprise country. Of course, we can't build for free. That's correct. The city of Milpitas, we have built affordable housing. I think we just recently had a new project, 102 units at Sanko Court, and there are others in the pipeline. The state, with their housing element, they are making it really difficult for a lot of cities because we're not the builders, it's the developers. And again, this is a free enterprise country. Everybody, they have to have a profit margin. And it is true, to build affordable, really low to very low affordable housing, it's difficult. We're trying to come up, right now we have a city ordinance of 15% has to be below, any new development has to be 15% below market. However, it's really difficult to do the very low and low housing, and because of those reasons, the affordability of the cost. So, go ahead.
You're sure welcome.
Well, we're doing advocacy to get some of the financing things improved. We don't really control that, but for instance, usually an affordable housing building has between 5 and 15 sources of financing. That makes it very complicated by design. One of them is pretty much always a tax credit. Well, the tax credits, the amount of money that can go to tax credits has been limited, and some of the states don't use all their tax credits, so California does. So we really need to do advocacy to increase the cap on those tax credits. That's a way to get money and to get private enterprise to help. So I think that there's advocacy kind of things that we can do. But I want to talk about the things that cities can do. I want to share that with everybody.
That would be so constructive. Thank you.
Thank you. One, we zone, right?
Yes.
We do zone.
Yes, you do.
Okay, we all talked about that. The other thing we do is that we can make sure that things are properly designed, that they fit in well with our cities. Nobody just wants housing. We also have to have businesses. We have to have places for people to go buy groceries. We have to have places for people to go to the park. We have to have libraries. We have to have schools. The whole shebang, right? We got to do that together. So we do great design. The other thing we do is building inspection. We make sure that what's built is safe. And that's really important. So if you take away something from this, I'd like you to remember there's 3 things that cities do with respect to housing. We also help subsidize it with development fees and that sort of thing, but that's really a very modest thing. We provide money that is leveraged, and that's valuable, and it provides an incentive, but it's just a trigger. It doesn't really accomplish the task. The lack of capital, and particularly we're hearing from developers now that, with the higher interest rates, things just don't pencil out, and they're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen for a couple of years.
The interest rates are hammering us. Mayor Gilmore.
I would like to say something about that. First of all, during the pandemic, we had more housing starts than ever before. So it was amazing in Santa Clara. We have several specific plans where we have Tasman East that has like 5,000 units, and Patrick Henry that has 12,000 units, and I mean the list goes on, El Camino downtown. So there's a lot of housing in Santa Clara. I think between 2018 and 2022, I think we were 8th in the state with building the most affordable housing. But one of the issues for us, one of the issues for us is that now, because of the interest rates and combined with the high cost of city costs as well, and the permit fees and others to develop, usually either the city costs are high and the interest rates are down and it pencils out for developers, and it's not happening now. They're both high.
Yep.
So we have to take a really good look at what our costs and fees are for development, because that plays a big part, especially when the interest rates are high. We also have to look at what you touched on, Pat, which was you have to amenitize the area around your housing, because you can't. We found if you put an affordable housing project with no transportation and no retail and no amenities around it, you're gonna have a hard. You need to wrap it, and you will have a difficult time with your projects. So not only do we have to look at where we put the housing, but what's around it, and that's the same for office.
Yep.
If you don't put amenities around the office, you're not going to lease those office spaces.
I
So.
totally agree.
Yeah.
We have, and transportation and housing have a symbiotic relationship. They go hand in hand, and you have to plan and you have to build those housing. For example, in Milpitas, we built 7,000 new units surrounding BART. It's smart growth. And it has to, as you mentioned.
Last word to Mayor Alden.
Yeah, I wanted to say that we share the same challenges that all the other cities face, but one of the big challenges that we've noticed in the last few years is just the changes in the economic climate. We've streamlined the permitting process, we give out permits, and then nothing happens. The developer seems eager to build, and then really nothing, everything stalls. So, and that's because interest rates have changed, the economy has changed, inflation, and all those play into the fact that there are so many impediments before we can actually get something done. And I think we touched upon it. The city can only do that much.
Yes.
And there's so many other
That's fair.
elements that need to
That's-